Hello, guys, and welcome back to Injury Time. It's been a while. Yes, it's been a while that all of us got together for a live recording of the show. Last episode that you saw was a pre-recorded show with Pradyum Reddy, where Sandeep and Pradyum would spoke about the ISL season that we had. But this time around, we are back with a live show, and we'll be talking about the Indian men's team that were in action a few days back. Played two friendlies in Bahrain. First one against Bahrain themselves, and second one against Belarus, keeping aside the whole fact that should India have played Belarus, given the situation that Belarus finds themselves in now, keeping that aside, we'll be talking a lot about the matches that unfolded and the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers. They are coming up in June. Will be played in Kolkata, and then also there's a news coming in on the women's national team front where they'll be playing two friendlies. So we'll be talking all of that. But before we get into it, let me just bring on our panelists for the day. Like I said, it's a full house today. Joining us from Bangalore is Sandeep. Hey, Sandeep.
Hey man, what's up?
Doing good, man. Like you look pretty awesome now, as the trend has been with chopped hair.
Yeah, it's too hot for long hair now.
Yeah, too hot for long hair. Also joining us is Abreshmina, who joins us from Delhi. Abby, welcome to the show. Good evening.
Hello, guys. Good evening. Good evening.
And yes, Orko has finally found a way to be online despite all the technical problems that he's been facing at his end. Hello, Orko. Welcome to the show.
What's up?
What's up? Let me start with you. Let me ask you, what's up? You saw two matches where India played international friendly, and then you did a Twitter Spaces where you were
What's
very like
up?
for to me you were all emotional because things sounded like you were very disappointed with the way things unfolded in that first friendly,
No,
especially against Bahrain.
I don't know. I wasn't disappointed. I guess I expected it only. I expected them to lose badly. But I mean, it was narrow. But I think the way in which they lost was a bit, what do you say, disappointing. But I think we've come to expect it from the Igor Stimac era. It's an era of, what do you say, underwhelming results. I like him as a character though. I think he has a lot of quips and quotes, and there are a lot of interesting things he says. But yeah, I think that's where I draw the line, and there's nothing else that I have to say about him. It's been 3 years, and yeah, I don't see it improving as such. I just hope they have a plan, in case we don't make it to the Asian Cup. Like, what does he do? How is he going to collect his unemployment benefits? I don't know.
All right, but you spoke about things that you like about Igor Stimac, but you forgot the fact that he has some really good dance moves up his sleeves.
Dance moves. He also finished, I think, third at a World Cup once as a player, which
Right.
is great. But as a coach, I think some Redditor a couple of years ago he warned everyone what to expect from Augusta match, and I think he was spot on. I I think we all I mean, a lot of people wished that Constant was gone, and now I think a lot of people look at his photo every morning and say, like this in pink, typical Pink Floyd fashion, they'll be like, I wish you were here. You know? So, I
Well, what
mean,
about,
someone give Constant a call. I'm telling you seriously, someone has to call him and thank him for whatever he did this
well,
time here.
Abby, what about you? Two matches against higher ranked opponents. This is something that we've always been wanting, right? To see India play against better opponents at the international stage, in the friendlies, because then when the competitive matches come about and you face higher rank opponents and India are always struggling. So this is a welcome change in that front that you got to play Bahrain and Belarus. Performance, yes, underwhelming, but how did you look at the two matches?
No, of course. See, any kind of like we always talk about. If there's one thing we always talk about is game time, right? So there's nothing that bad about playing games, right? So it's always going to be good. And obviously playing against better opponents, yeah, you do kind of get a chance to see where you stand, and we have actually pretty much seen where we stand. So yeah, I mean, it's good that you get to play these games. But again, like if you're playing games of you know it's sort of this importance because they're against better teams, so you kind of judge yourself better. So you need to go with a much better strategy. You need to um, look at these games as not just testing grounds of players, but also um, testing ground as to what you want to be doing, say, for at least the next two set of matches that you're going to get. I don't see that happening, and that is an issue that I feel more, because I feel like it keeps changing with every these, like you usually have these games in sets of two, right? So it just keeps happening, everything keeps changing from those two matches to the next two matches. There is no continuity, I feel, and I find a problem in that. Actually, I think that hampers everything else.
Well, lack of continuity. We'll talk more about that as we go about our business in this show. But Sandeep, your thoughts on the two matches? First up against Bahrain, where India scored one goal after conceding first, but second round around Belarus, first half managed to hold them to goalless result, but in the second half ended up conceding three goals. How did you see these two matches?
So I'm going to be the odd one out here. I'm just going to be like, I see a lot of people going after Stimac, and that's fair from their point of view. I'm just going to defend him, saying that whatever problem that Indian football has, he is unfortunately the face of it, not really the cause of it. So that's my take on this. And in terms of the game, I thought first match tactically they were good up until like 60 minutes, 70, maybe closer to 70 minutes. And then they sort of got tired. The intensity of the football that international teams play, we are not used to it. And Orko and I had a discussion about one tweet that came about fitness levels. And I do think slightly improved fitness level will help. But at the same time, we never play with this intensity against any team in ISL or I League or any other league that we play, unless you play the Champions League or maybe the latter stages of the AFC Cup. That's where you see the same intensity. So you're not used to it. So obviously you get tired, and then you see whatever plans that they had with the middle press and everything goes out the window. Everybody is dropping back. But what I do find rather unfortunate is how often we lose runners in the final third, and sometimes you escape, sometimes they punish you. So that probably is something that they need to work at. Plus a lot of them were not a lot, some of them new players coming in. Roshan never played an international game, so probably has some tension. Same with VP Suhair, Hormipam, all of them got a chance to play. So fair enough. I think we have what we need to qualify, and then at the AFC Cup we'll actually see. I mean, that's when I'm going to judge Stimac for all the work that he's done. If you get to the AFC Cup, how do you play at that level? Because probably not going. At least two teams will be better than you. So how do you play against them is going to be the question. So that's when I'll get on one camp or the other. But
So if we don't make it to the Asian Cup, will you not judge the match then? Will you be
yeah,
like,
then it's a failure, right? If you don't get into Asian Cup, then 100% failure. But if I think they'll make it, man, it's an absolute shambles if you don't make it to the AFC Cup final.
it could very well happen. I have stopped expecting. I'm not telling you that I'm disappointed or anything, because Bahrain and Belarus, what did we expect? We expected to lose, right? I'm
Yeah,
just telling you, it isn't as close as the scoreline suggests, because you just look at the simple thing,
easier,
right?
it was not close.
No, I'm just saying in Bahrain's case also, right? In the lead up to the goal, in lead up to the second goal, right? They had three opportunities where they progressed the ball from their goal mouth or from their goalkeeper all the way till our box, right? Which means they did 90% of the work without any effort. We didn't put in effort to stop their progression. We didn't check their progression in midfield. It was just their, uselessness in the final third that prevented it from being a rout. Otherwise, it just looked like men versus boys. It looked like we were two steps behind at every step of the corner. And I agree with you. The question is always about intensity, the intensity of football actions, right? And that again ties up to your point where you're saying, how often do we lose runners? I think more than fitness, it's about how we remain switched on at that point of time. You know
Yeah, you
how
get tired, you switch off. No, that's generally what happens.
I agree. I mean, when the body goes, the mind goes with it, right?
Mm.
I understand that, but my point is, of course, he's just the face of a problem. Probably the development starts from the club. It's not the national team's responsibility to produce players who can play at that level. But having said that, I think I have to agree with Abreshmina also, where there isn't like a semblance of a plan. See, when I talk about Constantine, right, there's a plan. I mean, he drop it on JJ's head. JJ will go in for that first header. He'll try and flick it onto Sunil. There's a plan. There's a semblance of a plan. My thing and my only, what do you say, problem with Stimac is that there doesn't seem to be one coherent plan. I think someone pointed out, right? He's playing different formations. Once he's playing four attackers, once he's playing six defenders. He just seems to be going through the motions himself. It just feels like we have a very underconfident guy at the helm, and that's really kind of coming through. Constantine, whatever said and done, he was very dogmatic. He had his plan and he would execute it, come hell or high water, right? He didn't give a shit about what you thought, right? He didn't give a shit about what
He
Naveen thought.
specifically told me also, I don't give a shit about what you think.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying that's what I'm saying, right? He was very dogmatic. He was very persistent, but he had a clear idea of what he wanted to do. Now, Stimac, I still can't say what he's trying to do, and
But
that's my biggest problem.
I'll come with a small detour here. I blame the federation for that because they gave the mandate that you have to play a certain way. I mean, I don't know if that is now used as a shield or as an excuse now
But
because of
that
the
also
new team.
doesn't happen much. Na? That is not
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're
even that
trying to
doesn't
pass their
happen.
play.
So what is really, the idea? What is really
What
the
what
plan?
style are we playing? Because we were promised this free flowing passing style that we would
That
try.
is
We,
never going to
we
happen.
we tried it, I think, in one match and then abandoned it. Right?
Yeah.
We can't play like that.
We
We
can't. I know
can't.
we can't play like that. I know we can't play like that. I recognize our deficiencies. Right? All I'm asking is what is Timas trying to do? Right?
Sam Christie with the truth bombs. Yeah.
Yes, but moving on, Sandeep, you spoke about how it's not Stimach's blame alone to take because it's the outcome of the kind of system that we have, the lack of system thereof that we have, and the Indian team is suffering because of it. But isn't Stimach someone who was given this job because he knew what to expect from Indian football and he had a
See,
plan for that?
all this is just things that you say, okay, when you hire someone. It's not. I don't think he knew anything in the great depth because the first thing he said is we don't have strikers. We haven't had strikers in years.
True.
How is that even something that is surprising or whatever?
Yeah, it's not like an international secret, right?
Yeah,
It's not like a
you
secret we
can
don't
just
have strikers. Like, yeah.
see the numbers,
Crazy.
and then you're like, yeah, this is just about all we have. But which, dude, I want to see when India plays. I always feel like they should play defensively and then try to play on the counter because
Yeah.
essence that doggedness has to be there in the team for you to get something out of it. And I'm not saying you should play like that against Nepal or Sri Lanka and all, especially when you're playing a slightly higher level team. So for the second half against Bahrain, the first 20, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I was quite like, oh, they're doing well defensively, the shape and all is there. And then it went off. So the question is, how can you ensure that those good attributes last for 90 minutes and those you don't fade as quickly in the games? So there are ways to sort of regain your energy in the game. There is a lull in the game. Both teams they don't go full pelt all the time. So all these are game awareness and sensitivities and ability that players have to pick up, which we are still some way behind in terms of that. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I just hope that they qualify for the Asian Cup. For Sunil, as we said the other day, right? For Sunil Chetri,
Yeah, for
that's
Sunil Chetty.
the team has to do it for him.
Okay. Before we move on, let me just get Orko back on, who's been struggling for internet. Orko, is your internet is your technical problem finally solved,
Yes.
or is
Yes.
this like the Indian football team where problems never end?
Yes. No, no, no. My laptop is like the Indian football team. It's a bit slow, actually. It's like my
But it
entire laptop
responds.
is made out of Internet Explorer, like our defense only.
But
But
guys,
that
moving
said,
on.
right, some of the defending, when you look
Uh-huh.
at it, the player has ran. He's run through, broke the
Uh,
offside trap. The reaction also, it's like some the dog hears a whistle. You look at this, and then you think for 2 seconds and then run. The
Yeah,
reaction is
yeah,
not
yeah. Same
automatically
here.
go back. All that has to obviously change.
Exactly. I mean, and I think that's a problem that we regularly see in the ISL also. Yeah, they take so much time to just react to things.
yeah, true.
When you have
They
to
gave
like when you're seeing if it, not even like forget get blindside runs. If somebody makes a blindside run, then we are gone. Okay. But even if it's not a blindside run, it's right in front of them. They still want to, I don't know what they're waiting for to, make the move and, get behind the player or get in between the ball and the player. Another thing that I find the problem with, everybody just keeps, just takes the position behind the opposition player. What is even the point of that? If you're standing behind the opposition player, the ball is going to be with the opposition. What are you going to do? Are you going to tackle him from behind? Then and anyway, it's a foul. So why I don't see this in the team, that they don't try and get in between the player and the ball, which is where you should try and be, because that is how you can actually stop moves and progress the ball as well. So yeah.
Well, Akash Naik says friendlies are meant to to practice a style, but all we do is different. But in hindsight, probably that's the best we can do, and
Still
if that
conceded
is,
3 and 2.
but still be different.
That is our national style of play only.
Yeah.
I am okay with it as long as you
Yeah,
win.
I think
Yeah.
it's high time that people also accept that that is how we can play. It doesn't have to be a very, amazing style of play. Ki, wow, yeah, we
I
sit and
I
we keep
agree with
watching and all.
Shubham. I agree with what Shubham is writing, right? And I've always said this: the next step to SAF, right, is not Central Asia, is not
Yeah,
West Asia, it's not East Asia. It's ASEAN only.
yeah,
It's ASEAN. Like if SAF is the weakest sub federation in the world, then I think next is
Yeah.
ASEAN only,
After
to be
Oceania.
honest. And we need to play regularly. And I know we beat Thailand twice, but I don't think Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, everyone's going to be a
This
rollover. It's not.
Thailand thing, right? Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
The second Thailand match that was in the Kings Cup, I think, he
Yeah.
won 1-0.
Correct.
Right, that was Thapa, I think, scored the goal. That
Ha
was
ha.
just 1 goal difference. That 4 goal difference in Thailand, that was a theme in disarray internally. And
Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
JJ, who was not scored in years, score a goal. A
Yeah.
lot of things went our way in that one game.
yeah.
The
And then
And
euphoria
they
of
then
the
we,
match.
fired
then
the
we saw
coach.
the highlights of it for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you look at the whole game properly, other than those 4 chances which we took, on another day we may not have taken those.
Yeah.
And most of the time we don't. Like at the moment when you look at Indian national team, Liston is the one player who you can say he's confident to take a shot. And most of the time he hits the target also. May not be a goal, but he hits it. So he has that confidence to come and take that opportunity. A lot of the people don't have it. So next time similar circumstances are presented to you, you may not take it. So that is like a what do you call very lucky day for that.
Yeah, that was a very lucky day, and I thoroughly enjoyed it being there. Let's not talk more about that. But these two matches, especially against Bahrain and Belarus, there were problems in this team also. Like you didn't have a Sunil because he was injured. Then a few players did not get their visa on time, so they reached
Yeah.
late or they didn't reach. I don't know what actually happened with them. So are we actually, what kind of a preparation is this for the qualifiers? Because after this there are no matches, you're playing the qualifiers, right? Or are there any other matches on
No, they're
non-FIFA
playing
dates?
4 friendlies.
On non-FIFA dates?
That's what he said. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
In May, I think they'll play 4 friendlies.
But these two matches, talking largely about them, what is the outcome of this? Like, is there a progress that we've seen? Like, is there
No, no,
something that we can be,
no.
okay, not confident, at least be a little satisfied? Okay, this came out of these two matches.
See, what is very clear to me is that the back five has to change. It has to go. I feel like Constantine did, right? He inherited a team from Kuverman. He stuck with it for the majority of, let's say, 2 years. It
Correct.
didn't pay him any dividends. We had a terrible World Cup qualifying campaign. Although, in hindsight, it was a much tougher group than what we got this time. We got Afghanistan, Bangladesh
Yeah.
this time. I mean,
Right.
seriously. Um, but apart from that, right? I think what Stimac should realize, if he still hasn't woken up, if the Lord still hasn't woken up to it, is that the backfire isn't working. It isn't working anymore. And I mean, people talk about cohesion, coherence. I point out on the space here also, three out of that back four are from the same club,
Correct.
right? I mean, you can blame the club, you can blame that coach. There's no point. There's simply, I just think And in Indian football terms, I don't want to keep repeating it, but if they are 28, 29 in Indian football terms,
Yeah.
right, then I mean, you get what I'm getting at,
Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
right? Arnab Mondal retired at 28, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Arnab Mondal actually had more than 50 appearances for the national team. So the point is, we don't have depth also in those positions. Like, I mean, in the fullbacks, we do. But at the centre backs, the major problem, right? So back three, again, I don't know. He tried it. It was hit and miss only. So something has to
But
give.
again, it's against higher ranked opposition that I
No,
have to
agreed,
keep
agreed,
saying.
agreed, agreed. No, it's
So
not even the ranking. You know, Belarus is better.
they are a better team, yeah.
They're better.
So
Yeah.
that I'll give them that benefit of the doubt because I saw that run. That guy was too fast, man. There's nobody who can catch up and all. Especially in the middle of midfield and all.
Ah,
Nobody's going to run that fast. So, I'm very sorry to say, but
but
that's the situation that they find themselves in. But I do think like they found. So now, if there is no Brandon, you have an option of Roshan for set pieces, right? Because Brandon
and
is
for general deliveries, I think
yeah, for
Roshan
a
is very
cross
good.
and stuff. Now
Ah,
you, if Roshan can play on both sides, we know that.
Yeah.
ah.
So even if Brandon is on the other side, if this guy can play on the opposite flank, you have two guys who can deliver great balls. Now the question is who is going to be at the end of it to receive. We hope that Sunil is
Yeah.
at the end of it to convert it. That would be ideal. Akash Mishra, Ashish Rai, I really like the two wide back
Yeah.
players. It's the centre backs who I think is little bit of a problem.
Yeah, no, that's what, right?
But again, it's lot of it has to do with pace. They don't have
yeah.
recovery pace, and you can't really do anything about it, right? It is what it is.
But you're talking about recovery pace, where we played a ridiculously low line against Bahrain after scoring. We kept dropping deeper and deeper and deeper, and
I think they just got tired.
huh,
They
that's
just
what
went back.
I'm saying that has less to do with recovery pace and you having played enough matches at that level to be switched on. Even after Bahrain scored the second goal, right? It was still all Bahrain. It was all the traffic was all Bahrain, right? Never once did anybody, hold their hand up in midfield and say, I'm going to stop. I'm going to not make this look like men versus boys. That is a problem, right? I don't even know if my preferred three of, let's say, Brandon, Apuya, and Thapa are also going to be able to solve it. I don't know.
You know what? A lot of people are hating on the center defensive midfielder. No? That what Pranay played,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
but
he at
we
least
need him.
no, but he at least gave some back. He
Yeah,
kicked
we
them,
need him.
and
We need
yeah,
him.
it
He's
stopped
the
looking like an age
destroyer
group.
that we need.
Yeah, if
He,
not Pranay, someone of that ilk
Yeah.
yeah,
is
someone
required.
who I know, and people will always be like, "Oh no, we don't need the Pranay Haldars." But to be honest, like I said, we are at that level only. We are
Correct.
at that level only where we need a Mehtab Hussain, we need a Pranay Haldar to disrupt and
What
destroy
I mean,
because
imagine Kabra coming back and playing like the old Kabra of East Bengal days. That the center role,
difficult. Uh,
Difficult given his time. Right,
difficult.
but
some few tackles at least you'll see.
correct. And some fun. Abby, you spoke about lack of continuity, right? In the past, there's something that it's been missing in this Stimac era, particularly. But this has been the case in Indian football. Like, you have never seen this continuity happen, right? Like Bob Houghton, then a lot of people retired, so Kovermans had to come in and change, had to start afresh. Comens did not play much. Then Constant came in, so he had to start from the scratch. Constant left with a team. Our man Stimac decided, okay, this is not the team I want to play with. Then he again started afresh, handing out debuts, getting in players that he thought could fit the bill. Where does this stop? When is the time that we can start seeing a sense of continuity or a semblance of continuity in Indian football?
So Abby, no?
Yeah, I think Abby has some internet connection problem.
Frozen.
Orko, if you want to take this.
I think Sharad is again. He said something about Pranay Haldar.
Uh,
But we'll come back to that. See, there is no continuity, I feel.
Yep.
It's probably going to come after Igor leaves. To be, like I said,
But does it come even after Igor leaves? Because
no, it doesn't.
it doesn't, because a
No,
new
it doesn't.
coach comes in and he brings his own.
I want to point out something that I saw and like I've been seeing,
Mhm.
right? So what happens is, from the time that we start playing internationals, right, which is, let's say, at the under 15 level. Then you have the under 17 level, you have the under 19, you have the under 23s, right? We generally lack a pool of players who have played at that level. As in, you only, the tendency is to take, let's say, 20, 25 players, and then, you know, what do you say, keep them continuing playing in that age bracket or in that group till the under 17s, under 19s, under 23s, right? Usually, if there are
Yes.
four, right, at the very least, you expect that there will be people from four squads fighting for that spot.
Correct.
Let's say
Correct.
a pool of 80 players, a pool of 90 players who you've nurtured over the years, who've played that sort of level, that intensity, that level
Yes.
of opposition. What you're doing here is that you're taking, let's say, and it's not a surprise that a lot of these people have been playing in this for so long. They've
Yes.
There is a sense of comfort also that is developed. There is not a sense of, what do you say, need to compete for the spots, right? For example, this the Indian under 23 team that failed to qualify this time.
Yeah.
They've been playing together what, since the time they entered the elite academy. At the time they're 14,
Correct.
14, and still there's no cohesion, and still there's no, what do you say, going from outside and trying to get players into this,
Yep.
right? Again, like I said, Shubham makes a good point. Continuity will come when there's a 40-game season. But still, Shubham, what you fail to realize is that a lot of these people have been playing together for a long time, right? Without so much as, what do you say, an external interference or an external set of players coming in and threatening their position. That's not happened, right? They've just had like pass upon pass, pass to under 17, pass to the Indian Arrows, then now a pass to the under 23 side, irrespective of however they played,
So
right?
that are you pointing out a lack of a sense of complacency setting in because they know their place is more or less guaranteed? They simply keep
it's
jumping from age
it's
group to
it's
senior
more
team.
it's more than sense of complacency, right? If you have right now, what I was telling somebody was that the ISL has 7 into 11, 77 spots regularly for Indian players, correct?
Correct.
The
Correct.
set of probables was 38.
Hmm.
That's 50% then there, right? So you're saying there's a 1 in 2 chance, if you're a regular ISL starter,
Correct.
you're getting that position,
Right.
right? This is maybe a systemic flaw where maybe there is not enough progression. Uh, like, I mean, Jamie Vardy is a good example, from a seventh tier to a top tier and then the national team, right? This is maybe a systemic thing where you don't want to rock. If there's a bunch of guys playing under 17, they should have more competition for their under 23 slots,
Correct.
right? I mean, if we compare the final World Cup under 17 squads and under 23 squads, are we going to find a huge, what do you say, overlap? Yes, we are. That's my point, right? The problem is four people for one spot will push you higher than two people, or just you being a part of the under 15s, under 17s, under 19s, arrows, and then under 23s,
Correct.
right? Maybe that pool of players needs to now come through to keep everyone on their toes. For example,
Agree.
centre backs, right? Centre backs haven't played in the ISL for till this season, and so it's almost become by default that some people are getting selected, right? That mentality needs to that can't be a mentality change. It has to be a systemic change.
Absolutely, absolutely. Abhi, this question was initially to you, but then internet decided we have to go other way around. How do you look at this whole phenomena of lack of continuity? The way I looked at it was change in coach, new coach coming in every 5 years, every cycle for that matter, every World Cup cycle, a new coach coming in, bringing about his own philosophy and bringing in players that he thinks could probably fit the bill. But Orgo says it's more than that. It is a generational thing because there is a lack of competition at age group level because there are the ways to make inroads into your age group team is limited because people don't look outside that bubble or the set of players that have actually played in the lower age group teams.
Yeah, no, I feel continuity. I kind of agree with you in the sense that I just feel there is way too much change of plan. Like we always keep mentioning, right? That our style of play, in the end, are what it the style of play always has to be on the basis of the players that you have available, right? And in India, you don't have the players that can play, like uh, that fluent pass game.
Correct.
So, I mean, I feel the continuity is not there because of that. About um, what Orko mentioned, yes, I do agree that there is a free pass for people because they have been in the system, so they've been there and they keep going from one stage to the other. So yeah, there is that sense of you know complacency that you know that your place is there, and it's very difficult for others to break. I feel the problem with the fact that you that there is there's a set of players, right? Like for example, for the national team also right now, your selections are only being made from the ISL, right? So anybody playing in the I League is uh, not being noticed uh, so much. It's pretty much limited to the ISL. So that is how you have just you're squeezing your own pool. You can have far more players to look. You're squeezing your own pool and you're making it difficult to get in more quality maybe. So yeah, I feel continuity comes from the fact if you have constant flow of players, and if you have pretty much similar, at least on the base, no, you have a similar philosophy. Over here there is so much of haphazardness at the grassroots level that you don't have continuity right from your childhood. You just keep on changing the way you play. So yeah, that becomes difficult if you have to adjust with other people.
Well,
Uh,
that answers.
I'd like to just share something that I put together recently. I don't know if I can share my screen. I'm going to just try sharing my screen.
Yes,
Share
please.
system audio as well. Let me know if you guys can see this. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
we can. If you can zoom in on it, and also not share the audio because it's
Don't
don't
share
share
the
the
audio.
audio.
Now can you guys see this?
Well, we can see it, but you have to stop sharing the audio.
Okay, one second.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me.
Or we can just keep quiet while he does this. Some
No,
alternate
I
option.
don't
I
think
won't
we will
share
do
the
that.
audio.
There you go.
Can you guys see it now?
Yes, this is good.
Okay, I haven't shared the audio, right?
Yeah, go on.
So if you take a look at this, right, the essentially the under this is something I was doing for the under 18 squad
Okay.
that won the SAF championship, right?
Go on.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
This is
Yes.
women's game, no?
Go on.
So yeah. No, so
Yeah.
this is just an example. This is an example of what I was saying, right? This is something that I was doing, right? So essentially the under 15 squad, right, got rolled on to the under 17 squad, then got rolled on to the under 19 squad, right? What I'm telling you guys is that there are very few, if any, right, fresh faces coming through, right? And they seem to have very little game time as such, right? um what what I'm saying is maybe there could be newer faces. You have, let's say, 5 or 6 new faces. Sorry, I'll just get back. Yeah,
But
you have
again, this
five or
is
six
a
new
women's
faces.
game, no? Then time
Yeah,
and
yeah. No,
numbers
I'm
and
saying this is
everything.
this is an example of what I was saying, right? You have the same batch rolling over from the under 15s to the under 17s to the under 19s, right? So essentially, you have one set of players who you are banking on for all of those age groups, and these are same players that get rolled over to the national, because eventually when it comes to national selection, you're saying, oh, these players have experience of playing youth internationals, right?
Right.
So let's just go for them. What you were saying, you were restricting your pool right from a very young age, right? And that, I'm pretty sure it's not just this case. It's a it's a case with the current with the World Cup under 17 World Cup batch also.
All right.
Right? Arun is saying that's what Qatar is doing. But listen, Arun, my friend, Qatar is at a very high technical level when compared to us.
But
We need our guys to push each other. We can't have this model of 23 players.
no, but I think what Arun actually meant was, can't we follow the Qatar model where they got a bunch of players years ago?
No, then he has a follow-up
Yeah.
thing saying that's what Qatar is doing.
Yeah, largely Qatar is doing this now because they started at a very grassroots level, got a bunch of players, and they've been playing together as a team for a long time. And that is the bunch of players
But
that will
how
bring the
many
World Cup
games
later.
does the Qatar League play?
More than what teams in
It
India
will be
play.
Yeah,
at least
Qatar,
30, 35
Uh,
plus
yeah.
cup competitions.
correct.
And they would play a similar number of games in Aspire Institute also.
Hmm.
We've gone there, Naveen, you and I.
I,
Correct.
We
I
saw them
don't I
training.
don't think I don't think us picking a group of players and sticking them together is the best idea. It's not,
Okay.
right? Because like I said, there's not enough game time. I agree with Sandeep, right? And there has to be competition for places at every level,
Understood.
right?
Understood.
Yeah, just saying, like, Qatar, uh, population wise, demographic wise, everything wise, different from what
Right. India is.
we are,
Right.
right? For us, I still say it is best for the AIFF also perhaps to go more regional, right? Maybe do what the DFP did. I'm not saying again we should follow what Germany is doing,
Hmm.
right? But what the DFP did is they set up DFB North,
Correct.
West, Northwest, South, Southeast, right? Thus you're creating, let's say, six de facto national teams, and who want to really, compete with each other, who really want to fight with each other,
Right.
right? Your first aim should be get into the, let's say, the India. I know it seems like a very, what do you say? It sounds like a cricket format, right?
Hmm.
Where we have India South, India North, but it's so huge, right? Having a national competition is a burden on resources, especially the under 13, under 15, under 18 levels, right? You can't do that. You have to go more hyper local. You have to break it up further, right? You have to have 6 into 23, like 150 guys fighting it out at every age group.
Sharad is someone who agrees with Orko on this. Decentralizing the whole footballing ecosystem can benefit the team, is what he says. And just adding a bit on why we can't do what Qatar is doing is because Qatar went about looking for players who could have had a Qatari origin across the world and then brought them. Then that's where you found Almoiz Ali, or you found Roro, who's the central defender now going to the World Cup. These guys are not born and bred in Qatar. They were brought into Qatar and then naturalized as Qatari citizens, which eventually helped them, right? And they ended up winning at the 2019 Asian Cup. Almoiz Ali was the highest goal scorer, but he's not born in Qatar, but a naturalized citizen of Qatar, and that is something that we can't do here in India. There are limitations to that, and you can't expect the central government to change its policy just for a football team, isn't it?
And just on Arun's point, that's exactly what we're doing. We have one elite academy in Goa or somewhere,
Correct.
and we stick the same 25 players together, and we put all our eggs in that basket of 25 players, which I don't understand why we do. Because there are late developers, there are early developers. There are some people who really take Hira Mondal,
Correct.
for example, right? Hira, people say, oh, there's a lot of gap between I League and Hira's taken to the ISL like a fish to water, right?
Right.
But how many age group squads has Hira been in? Is the question, right? So you never know. You never know, right? Which is why you need more people. For example, if you're building a center of excellence, you don't pick 25 from a pool of 50 players, right? That's a lottery. That's not a center of excellence. That's a lottery,
Correct.
right? And our friend Richard Hood is probably the biggest expert on football in this country. He's absolutely spot on, right? And also, just to add to Shubham's point out, one Richard said, right, it also reduces logistical costs
Correct.
involved.
That you don't have a team from the south of India having to travel all the way to the northeast, which
Yeah.
which itself is a task in itself, right?
Look, it's
Yeah.
very simple. Okay, there is proper research done by Scandinavian researchers about this. That there is such a thing that if you go hyper local, there is a goodwill factor that runs within the community also. So
Yeah.
your parents and the other team's kids' parents, everybody comes and meets each other. It facilitates community bonding. Plus, the kids feel a worth. There is a worth feeling of worth because they are representing their locality in those matches. Right. And then that obviously also comes with certain responsibility that you can't, not play
Can't fuck
well in
up.
these games. You cannot mess
Like
about
the
in
whole
these
point
games.
of playing for your boyhood club, that
Yeah.
whole
I
thing
mean,
comes
it
from it,
doesn't
right?
have to be boyhood clubs. So that's what I'm saying. These are
Yeah.
really small clubs. These are feeder clubs. So then they go to a slightly bigger club when they get older. And the main club, by the time they get to them, they are 15, 16. So that's when they get to, by that time they would have played so many games, and all these
Correct.
games mean something. We are not playing friendly matches, they are playing small
Yeah.
tournaments, weekend tournaments. Let's say there'll be one tournament in March. So over the 4 weekends, they play one tournament, one people win. So you feel like you've achieved something for yourself, for your team, for your community, and you feel certain worth as a kid also in this community, right? He's a good player. We talk about him. Like it
Correct.
happens in Kerala. If you come to RA, like sevens football area, we'll say that fellow is a good player. So that's a difference, but there are other reasons why it doesn't translate properly. So after that, then you have to move into the higher levels. Now, Ashu's asked local and regional federations they are there, but the point is they are not doing a great job. Plus, there is this
Yeah.
crazy thing that you can only represent the tournaments have to be under the federation's view. If you look at the old school stories where we had players who came in, all these players who played the Olympics and who played the Asian Games, etc., who did well, who won things, they would play for the club, and on the weekend they would just run away and play for a black tournament.
Correct.
So they played so many games. As a kid, they played with tennis balls. Then they would migrate to higher, bigger balls. And every time they play for their locality. So all of this was outside of the federation's rule. Now it's become such a level that if you play even I League 2, you cannot play for the Santosh Trophy, and Santosh Trophy was a national championship for all these years. So the ISL players essentially play 20 games and that is it. So earlier you used to play 50, 60 games in the course of a season. Now that doesn't happen. So all of this has a cumulative effect. Now Richard is absolutely correct in what he said. You have to go hyper local. You have to ensure certain localities do better than the others, and focus on getting more people in the grassroots. The reason, if you go to Mumbai on any of those grounds, ECI, Brabant, whatever, or their Maidan also, at
Yeah.
one time there is some 15, 20 cricket games happening. That is culture. And there is a funny thing. You look at the number of players that a country like Uruguay produces, despite having limited population, they are the highest exporters of footballers. And this comes from the fact that most of the clubs are and tournaments happen in Montevideo,
Right.
in that center. So all these kids from the age of 5, they play against each other all the time. So by the time you're
The
12,
Pony
13,
League.
you are really, really good. Otherwise, you don't make that level. And from there, you are a second division player who don't make that level in any other place. He's really good. The second division Uruguay player knows how to fight. He knows how to deal with bad situations, good situations, control emotions. All these game learnings and game management and mental training that you need. All of that they grow up with it. They may not all be in a Cavani or a Suarez. They can be Adrian Luna. Just look at him come here and change, like absolutely dominated everything. Nothing mattered
Correct.
to him here. So there are people who are at his level now. Imagine Luna doing this here. How he's not the national team level
Correct.
yet in a small team like Uruguay. So you need that competition at the local level to ensure the cream rises to the top. It has to be a funnel
Yeah.
like this. It has to come up.
Right.
So all these things have been researched. There are research papers. There are coach expertise. There are everything done over so many years. So it's nothing that we can't do. It's just that we don't do it. And at some point, push will come to shove, and we might have to do it, or we'll have to fold as a footballing nation. Be happy playing one of these SAF Cups and winning SAF Cups, which also is getting harder and harder.
True.
So yeah, that's it's just a matter of time. Like because the world is moving on. If you're stationary in the world, only you're going backwards because
Correct.
everybody else is going forward. So yeah, it's a tough situation.
Well, lot of interest, a lot of comments from our viewers. I'm trying to flash as much as we can, but one thing that really spiked up interest was when we were discussing Pranay Halder. Everyone agrees that you needed Pranay Halder, but our viewers don't. I'm just trying to pop up a few comments from them. First up, this is what Arko Sharath wanted to: winning the ball and gifting it to the opposition doesn't make him one of the destroyer, I guess.
But everybody's giving it away,
Yeah,
no? So what is the
yeah,
difference?
everybody's giving it away, right? We rarely making the final third. We are always it's always breaking down midfield or in even defense, right? I mean,
Before that, he said this: can't make a 5 meter
no,
pass.
I agree. Yeah, no,
No,
I
can't
know what he's
disagree with
referring to.
any of these things.
Pranay's passing versus Bahrain was
Dismal,
it was bad. It
just
was
yeah,
atrocious, right? But like like I said, I mean nobody can what do you say? Not there can't be a single player who comes and changes the face of the
correct.
like. Where is the like then where is the destroyer to replace Pranay? Right? I think this we have some troll on our feed.
Exactly.
Some obsessed viewer we have, right? I don't know, but okay. It's good to have fans. But I'm saying, I think where's the destroyer to replace Pranay? I thought there were a couple of interesting cases in the I League, but they haven't made the step
This
up.
time I wouldn't
Right?
say anything about I League because they hardly played. So,
Yeah,
No, I'm saying they haven't made the step up to the ISL yet. So
uh,
obviously they won't be
there
picked,
is
right? If
a
they
there's a
don't.
young Isol striker who scored a lot of goals and assisted. Right now playing 20-year-old, I think.
Huh.
Forgot his
well,
name. Yeah.
in hindsight, Uday Kumar is right. Constantine
Ah,
understood
true.
Indian football better than Steamach.
No, it's true. It's true.
Like people just didn't like the way he portrayed his emotions. Like the in your face attitude is something that didn't sit well with a lot of people at the federation and the team, and that's what Constantine had to pay for. But another thing, one of the comments which I'm really searching for
But
here is
Constantine also left at the right time. Huh?
correct.
He left on a high.
Okay, this
I think some of Constantine's experiments should have been, what do you say, should have continued also.
but then
The
it
Ashik, the Ashik at number 9 experiment, I think,
yeah.
was the saddest bit. Why I don't understand why it wasn't continued because I think it was absolutely electric to see him play there
Running up and down.
at the Asian Cup. I really thought we had something in the making, and then he went back to club level and he played left back. So
That is club demands that what he does. This is something that I wanted to pop up. Aren't the best players from all tiers playing in the ISL? Orko, this is something they've spoken about in the
We don't
past.
know.
But
yeah, see, Ashu, I want to say, right, there is no objective data from any tier beyond the I League. Also, I think all Instat every data ends at I League level. I think you might get second division data from some of the analysts, but best players on the basis of what, right? Data number one, two. I mean, yeah, you can say that people have moved up the ladder from the I League to the ISL, also like second division to the I League.
correct.
But like again, what are the parameters? Were there better players who didn't move on? So we don't know. We don't know is my honest assessment. We don't know if they were the best players that moved up the tires.
All right. There's a lot of praise coming in for Constant, and yes, all of us miss him in hindsight. But I think it's time for us to move on, just as Indian football has moved on from Constantine era to Steve March's era, and whatever is in store for us in the coming months, weeks, and years. Up next, guys, friendly, right? 4 friendly matches before the qualifiers next month,
Yeah,
April, May, and then the qualifiers, of course, in June,
in June.
which will be played in Calcutta. But before that, Abreshmina, I know that we can't see you because there's some internet problem at your end, but there is some news coming in from the women's football front. The national team will be in action, playing 2 friendlies. Could you tell us more about it? Is Abby still around?
Okay, I think Abby's out. Marco, you can take that.
Yes, our go.
What
The 2 friendly matches that in the women's national team are supposed to play.
I'm surprised with choice of opposition. I don't think it's the strongest opposition that we could have faced. Jordan and Egypt,
Correct,
yeah.
correct.
I remember we've already lost to a Gokulam Kerala lost to a Jordanian team in the
The
Asian Championship that they played.
yes,
But yeah, I mean Jordan, Egypt are pretty nascent in terms of women's football. Uh, but I mean honestly, so was Iran, and we drew against Iran. So
Egypt is going
I
to
don't
be
know.
a hard game. A hard game.
Yeah,
okay. But
can't say.
can I ask you one thing? Like, what is this friendly in preparation for? What is next that's in store for the women's team? Are they playing the Asian
Uh,
Games?
Asian Games we don't know because the government decides, right, whether we're going to go to the Asian
Right,
Games or not. Last year they didn't go
right,
the last time 2018,
right.
right? But yeah, I think that has to be the next target, the Asian Games. I'm guessing the next cycle of qualifiers will start after 2023, the World Cup. That I'm pretty sure there's some SAF championship that we're going to be playing.
Again.
Yeah, and there again, I
But
think Nepal.
let me ask you something. Like, for the Women's World Cup, qualification happens through the Asian Cup, right?
Yes, the route is the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like I said, no, the next year, the once the this cycle ends, I'm guessing on another cycle starts.
correct.
But yeah, SAF, I'm guessing Asian Games.
Hmm.
If we go to the Asian Games, the last time the IOC said no, nothing. The IOC said nothing doing.
Right,
We're not going to the Asian Games because results haven't improved.
right.
We got an exemption in 2014, but didn't get an exemption in 2018. So yeah, I don't think there's much in the way of, let's say, senior football. But I've seen again Denerby trying to do the same thing Stimac is doing. He's trying to build a pool using the national team,
Correct.
right? That means that the national team again is going to take some from this under 18 team and put them in the senior squad. Try to take them there. Try to give them, like, exposure there. So uh, this pretty much become the norm now.
But what about the age group team? There was a SAF championship that happened in Jamshedpur, which India won.
Yeah.
Three teams participated. There was India, there was Bangladesh,
Bangladesh,
and
Nepal.
Nepal. Three teams. India lost the final game, but they still won the competition.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a vintage uh, display. I mean, Nepal went up to the mark. To be honest, they went great opposition. Bangladesh was a
But it was
more
not an
credible
easy
opposition.
task, no? Bangladesh and all.
No, because Bangladesh, you have to see that it has pedigree at the under 16 level now. It is qualified to the under 16 Asian Cup twice
Right.
in the women's section, right?
Hmm.
A lot of those players were also part of this. What do you say? Part of this score.
Okay.
Um, I they won one against Bangladesh. They lost, but I'm talking about in terms of a under 17 World Cup build up.
Correct.
We're not going to be facing teams of the caliber of Bangladesh. We're going to be facing much tougher teams. So looking at it through that lens, it maybe wasn't the greatest of. Yes, I know we won the title and all, but I'm not looking at it just from a
Results
trophy point of view.
perspective. Because
Yeah,
that's not something that you actually look for at age group, right? It's not results that
yeah.
should.
It's not. It's more
Yeah,
performance.
results
It's
not what
more.
should matter at age group.
Yeah.
Oh god, there's too much trolling happening on the chat session. I won't prop it up, guys. I think that's all we have on this episode of Injury Time. The I League is still on. Competition matches happening day in and day out. Can catch it on Facebook. It's available on Facebook and one of the
Yeah.
channels. I don't know which channel it
Facebook,
is.
Facebook.
Facebook, right? And then yes, the under 17 Women's World Cup later in the year. The Asian
IWL
Cup,
is also coming.
IWL
The IW
from
is
the
coming.
15th, right?
It's supposed to start April 15th. And for the women, just like to inform everybody, you have two friendlies coming up against Jordan, Egypt. You have the IWL coming up. You have the under 17 National Football Championships in the women that's coming up. And there is also talks of an under 17 Women's Club Championship, which is going to be played first, what do you say, state wise and then national wise. That is also in the works.
All right. Before we wrap up, there's one question that Sharad has asked. One question for the upcoming men's friendlies: what should be our target? Finding the best 11 for the
Best
qualifiers,
11 you found.
or tinkering with the style?
For me, it's you have found your 11. You have tinkered enough. you're preparing the next four a particular manner so that you can go and win those three games. So you the same, you get the right players, your core group plays, you play the style of football that you want to play.
Has he found the best 11 though? He still VP Suhair still started
You
a
know
lot
what?
of
I
the
am going to
games
say this. I
after coming
really,
on.
really think Suhair is a good player to have because
No, no, I'm not
no, because
saying.
of one thing is that
Hmm.
he knows his level. He does not try to do things that he cannot do. He's
My point
level
is
only.
we are saying we found our best
No, no,
11
no.
as
Stimac
Stimatch found
should
this.
have found his level in these games. The next
Huh.
three games should
Should
be
have.
to
Huh.
ensure that this team works.
Should have is a very conditional statement. Should have is a very
No, he
conditional
said
statement.
what should be. No. So for me,
Huh.
the target should be
I'm just saying
play.
nothing is straightforward with Stimatch. Don't assume anything's been done
No, no,
yet.
I'm saying, from my opinion, you should have found it by now. Play the 11, figure out the exact style of play that you want to play, and then go and win the three games. And then after that, same team has to be playing till next June
Correct.
when the tournament happens. Whenever they're playing, you need to know your first 11 plus
Uh,
4. Who are
no, it's definitely late for us to be tinkering with the style, right? It's
some.
very, it's,
No, I mean, there's nothing to tinker now. Now you have to figure out how to win games.
Yeah. Too late to
Honestly,
tinker. The results matter now.
yeah.
yeah. It's been 3 years of tinkering,
Yeah.
right? So,
Okay. On that note, we should end because thanks a lot, Sandy. Thanks a lot, Orko. Abreshmina, if you still hear us, if you're still around, we miss you. We hope to see you with full internet next time around when we go live. Because
she's just sad today. She's just sad we didn't discuss more Stimatch ball. That's it.
the name of the show was Stimac Ball. We're talking Stimac Ball. I made it very clear in the
But,
beginning.
when
I'm surprised we had so many viewers tune in after you said we were going to discuss Stimatch
Correct.
ball. That should have been a pointer to viewers to block our account
Hey, why are
right
you
there.
ruining the viewers who come here also? Da? Why are you doing
Like
this?
people who come are very sad that we don't have enough followers. We are not growing. Let them come. Let them help
Hello,
us grow.
hello. Naveen ruined it by putting one poll. Okay, I didn't do
Hey, we got
anything.
followers after that. Okay.
Bad
Yeah.
idea.
All right. It's 11
Okay,
o'clock. We should.
Sharad, I agree with you. Zero expectation. Zero expect.
You know,
See, Stimat said we are the strongest team in
I
the
have
qualifying group.
expectations. You bloody qualify for the Asian Cup. It's a 24 team tournament, man. Like, for fuck's sake, you just qualify for that.
Cool, guys. Cool. Thanks a lot. Before we leave, just a reminder: Injury Time IND on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can follow us and join in the conversation. Not always that is that we do a lot of conversations on all the platforms because, like I said, consumed by our work. But we'll try to be more regular. On that
Yes, we
note,
are trying
thanks a
to
lot,
get some
guys.
interviews with some ISL players and I League players and all.
Awesome. So
Now
that's
we'll
what
start
Sandeep's up
getting,
to.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. That's what Sandeep's up to. So you know what to watch out for. Until we bring you the next episode, it's good night from all of us.